And we are live. Welcome, brothers, to another show. Today we have well, you've been on this show a few times, right, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Twice.
Yeah, we have my a good friend of mine out there in San Domingo, Eric Brent. How's everything going with you today, brother?
Man, I am blessed. I am blessed. I'm so thankful. And I wanted to thank you for having me on the show once again. This is one of my most favorite groups, period. You know, I do a lot of cryptocurrency groups, but this is my favorite group because it deals with black men traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely, man. You know how we do it because you're in the private Facebook group, of course. So you know how we do it in there.
Yes, sir.
You know, we get in, and in that group, man, you posted a video. I think it was last week, man, and it was a very good video, man. You just telling the brothers what happened to you, and we're gonna get into that a little bit further down the line when more people come in the room about the situation you had with the police out there, where you at. So we definitely gonna get into that, man. But we also wanted to talk in general about brothers traveling overseas and how to deal with some of the police corruption that we face. You know what I'm saying? Now, every country has some type of form of corruption for the most part. We all come from the United States. We know that the police are, they do their thing in the United States as well. But you always know what's going on to a certain degree. Like you understand the language fluently in America. So, you kind of can talk to the police. And for the most part, unless you are known or doing something, that they know you of, they're not trying to shake down the average citizen in America for the most part. You know what I'm saying? It has been some cases of people, taking large sums of money. But we know that in most cases when we travel as an American and we run to the police, we know it could be some issues just by us being American. So we're going to go over this. I had shared an article with you, man. The top 10 most corrupt police forces in the world. And we're going to go over that article in a minute. Let me set the article up, man. And we're going to get the flowing. Hold on. Let me just put this up.
I did my own little research on that article, too. So I'm going to let you show it to our group, and then I'll elaborate.
Bet. All right. Let me get 1 second here, fellas. Let me move this around. All right. So in this article, this is the 10 most corrupt police forces in the world. All right, guys. Now this was research coming from the United Nations. So keep in mind that is a Western organization. So we got to take this with a grain of salt. But we also have some more stats on more of a people survey. All right. Shout out to Brick. He said it's the most important video. He said police are not corrupt overseas. Don't worry about them, bro. Okay, JM. We'll let you roll with that. So anyways, let's go to the article. We're going to go. I got it. He obviously doesn't travel, right? All right. So we're going to start off with number 10, which is the Burma Police Force. All right. They're saying that the Burma Police Force is infamous for having one of the most corrupt police forces in the world. Can you see the article, bro?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
Okay. And the police force is well known for kidnapping people and holding their money, which includes bribes, hostage for a long period of time. So that's Burma. I believe Burma, is that more like the Middle East, Asian sometimes?
Yes, over towards Vietnam area over there.
Okay. All right, cool. Now I'm not sure, but most brothers not traveling to Burma for the most part. That's why we got the other stat list. Okay, coming in at number 9, we got the Pakistan Police Force. All right, the Pakistan Police Department is yet another police department that has been accused of corruption because of high number of extortions, murders, abuse, and bribery cases that have occurred in recent years. All right, so that's number 9, the Pakistan Police Force. Now we're going to number 8, which is the Russian law enforcement. Now, you do got some cats over there in Eastern Europe that, go to Russia and Moscow and all that. And I've actually heard a few stories of brothers having issues. Do you know any stories of brothers having issues in Moscow or anything like that?
No, but I do know back in the 30s, a lot of people don't realize there was a huge 20s and 30s, a huge black, I want to say exodus to Russia to escape racism here in America. So there's a lot of black people in Russia people don't really know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I saw a documentary about that as well. That's
Yes,
like, you would assume that Russia, just would be just as racist, but that's sometimes not the case.
because they don't show the black people. I remember on the one episode of the Braxtons, they went to Russia and a black dude just walked past the screen and they was like, "What?"
Right, right.
But actually, their language was created by a black guy. Alexander Pushkin created the Russian language. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't know that. But go right ahead, brother.
No, that's true because I seen that in a documentary one time. Yeah, they did say that a black man created their language.
So
I
did.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, they had some high-ranking government officials over there in Russia too,
It's
like
funny
some
how we
black
just pushed
lawyers.
under the rug and we're not seen by main media. It's just funny.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, most definitely, man, most definitely. All right, so we got the Sudan police forces coming in at number 7. They said the Sudan police force is considered to be one of the most corrupt in Africa, and it's unsurprising. Basically, they have a history of bribes from the people with no repercussions, and if you denounce them, no action will be taken to hold them accountable. So that's the Sudanese police force. All right. Coming in at number 6, we got the Afghanistan police force. Now
Mhm.
we know, I think that Afghanistan is like a war-torn country, so we'll all assume that Afghanistan, will have a corrupt police force. All right. So coming in at number 5, we got another Middle Eastern country. And keep in mind, fellas, I know most of these countries we're not going to, so we're gonna get to the more of a stat list after we do this. But number 5 comes in the Iraqi police forces. All right, known for engaging in unethical actions from time to time, the Iraqi police force comes in 6th on the list of unethical police forces. Now we're going back to Africa with the Kenyan police force. Are you familiar
Mhm.
with anybody going to Kenya and having any issues, brother?
No, but when you finish, I got a little information on each one of these, really brief information on all the 10 you're going down from a different perspective.
Okay, cool, perfect. All right, so let's go to the next one. Now we got number 3, and I think we've all heard stories about the Mexico's police force, right? I know I've
Mm-hmm.
heard plenty of stories. I think a friend of mine was telling me yesterday that they were walking from a club and they was cutting through an alley, and it was just a random woman, using the bathroom in the alley, and the police stopped them and said, "Hey, is that your friend?" And the brother was like, "Man, I don't even know her," and they actually citated him for, I guess, public indecency, saying that, "No, that's your friend. You have to pay for her,
Now that's
or you got to
funny,
go to
Aaron.
jail."
I got a story on Mexico because when I put my story up on
Mm-hmm,
Black Men Travel,
mm-hmm,
I actually put it on my Facebook as well. And two of my friends, real dear friends of mine, they gangsters, but they in the
mm-hmm,
real estate, but they come from that whole gangster background. All their
mm-hmm.
family members are gangsters. So they were, I guess they were in, Brenda and Lisa were in Cancun, and they told me, EB, we got pulled over by the police and they tried to extort us for some money. We told them we ain't giving y'all shit.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what happened? She said they let us go. But again, black women can get away with shit we can't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what you gonna do? Beat up some women? You know, so they let them go. So I told Brenda and Lisa, I said, well, shit, y'all more gangster than me. I
Right,
gave
right,
them
right,
money.
right, right.
Go right ahead, Aaron.
All right. Let me go to number 2. It's the Haitian police force. Now, have you down the DR, man? Do you ever cross the border and go to Haiti?
Yes, I did once. I went a couple times, and it's very sad when you go over there how poor it is. And a lot of people don't realize Haiti was the first country, period, in the African diaspora in the world to get
Mm-hmm,
its liberation from slavery. And
mm-hmm,
Haiti is the main factor that helped Dominican get their independence. Boy, how they forgot that. And
mm-hmm.
also, Haiti was very instrumental in South America's liberation from colonialization, but they're paying for that dearly economically, and the whole world of white supremacy I see is making them pay for it. But go right ahead.
Yeah, and I believe it was that the war, the French, because the French lost the war, that made them have to sell. What was that purchase called? I forgot the name of the purchase, but it was like the middle of America, basically, Oklahoma and
Louisiana
all that.
Purchase.
Yeah, the Louisiana Purchase, because they lost the war with Haiti.
It was the cheapest land purchase in the history of the United States. And Haiti kicked France ass a gang of times. It wasn't just once. They chased Napoleon's behind ass out of here. And Dessalines and Toussaint Louverture are very underrated in history, but those guys were very militarily strategic, intelligent. They spoke several languages, and you know, it's just interesting how they have made them pay for that. You know, because when that revolution happened, if you even watch the movie Roots, when that revolution happened, they were all the slave plantations in America were frightened. It shook fear throughout America.
It sure did. It sure did. We got a super chat here. Osama Abdul with $2 super chat. I really appreciate that. He says, BMT, do you offer paid consultation for travel advice? I sure do, man. You can hit me up at blackmentravels@gmail.com for the consultation. All right. And I appreciate that super chat from you, brother. Let me go on to number one on the list. I didn't mean to show it. I was going to say what you thought would be number one. But I know you already read the article. But number one on the list comes the Nigerian police force. All right. The Nigerian police force has the largest technical department, which is located in Lagos. The Nigerian police force are well known for bribery, unlawful detention, torturing, and assassinating citizens. Now, I have heard this from a few travelers out there to Nigeria of them being shaken down even at the airport by the police. So they get shaken down even before they even leave the airport in certain cases. So yeah, man, that's you know, those are the top 10.
Now, it's funny. If I can elaborate a little bit, when you first sent that to me, that article, and I read it. If anybody out there doesn't know, I'm the CEO of a company called the Family Cash Machine, where I basically teach cryptocurrency and money, because most of us don't know money. We think we know money, but we know how to use it, but we don't really understand money. But at the same time, I teach wealth. But when you sent me that, you know, my channel is called the Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money. So the first thing I did was pull up the top 10 worst economies in the world. And guess what? Sudan is on there. Nigeria is on there. So this contributes to the corruption in the police. Now, I know here in the Dominican, the average police makes about $400 a month, US. That's it. You know, but they paid in pesos. So again, I'm going to go through my list. Burma, from my perspective, was one of the capitals over there of heroin. There's documentaries on this stuff where heroin, you know, was just permeating. That's where pretty much Frank Lucas and all of was getting their heroin, you know, dirt cheap. And so that kind of, when you got a drug, when you have a drug capital or drug country, come on, man, you're talking like trillions of dollars. That's free tax money. So that helps, to me, the police corruption. Now, I'm not trying to make no excuses for policemen, because I don't have a real good perspective of police officers. But I realize we need police officers, or it'll just be pandemonium all over the world. Now, Pakistan, again, that's a Muslim country. That's number 9. And the only difference from Pakistan and India is India's Hindu, and there were so many wars. What happened to the screen, Aaron? I'm on 2 screens. There were so many wars with Aaron. Are you there? Did you fall off? I don't see you. I'm on 2 screens, but I'm going to keep going. I imagine I'm still live. So the only difference between Pakistan and India is that they had so many wars between Muslims and India. They broke off their own country called Pakistan. So, okay, yeah, I'm back. Okay, great. So Pakistan, the court systems is super corrupt there. That's what leads to the police corruption there. They have a super corrupt, and it is a third world country, of course. It's number 181 ranked as far as the GDP per capita. So with me, I always follow the money. Money has a lot to do with a lot of things that's happening in the world. If you follow the money, you'll find a different perspective in all the history they taught you. Anything in history, if you follow the money, you're going to get a whole different story, period. Okay, now, Russia, as we know, its economy crashed. It crashed. and it gave power to the Russian mafia, which is one of the most perverse mafias in the world right now. If you don't know, it ain't about Italian mafias no more. The Russian mafia is off the chain because with the Italians, they had these rules that went back to ancient Rome, okay? And that's what kept them going so long, is the rules that they had implemented. They wouldn't mess with certain things, you know. They tried to stay away from drugs, all that. Well, the Russian mafia, nothing's off limits. They do credit card, they do prostitution, they do drugs, they do extortion, they do whatever. And they're very ruthless. And so I think that has a lot to do with the police corruption. And I was reading that over 50% of the policemen in Russia, they have a side job. Over 50%. That's deep. Think about that. They're not making enough money. So over 50% of their policemen have to have additional income. 20% of their police force have extra income while they're working as policemen. You got to look at the money. The money is a big, big factor connected to corruption. Sudan, okay, number 7, like we said, that's ranked number 2 on the world's worst economies in the world. That's ranked number 2. And from what I read on the article you gave me, that is the worst police force in Africa, period. Now, this is what's very disturbing to me. When I looked at the top 10 worst economies in the world, and I got chills when I'm saying this, they was all African countries. Now, what's interesting to me, is Africa is the most richest country in the world as far as minerals, as far as gold, as far as rubies, as far as diamonds, you name it. We got rubber. We have rubber trees, and we have to send the rubber back to the United States and Europe and have it made into rubber bands or tires and buy back that stuff to Africa when we have the mineral, we have the resource there. So this is the condition of Africa. It's been a whole global cabal to keep Africa unmanufactured. They got all the resources, but they don't want no industrialization there, okay, other than working in the mines. So Africa is the richest country in the world, has the worst economies in the world. Go right ahead.
Africa is the only country that can trade within itself. It don't have to trade with any other country. If they was to shut down the borders of Africa, it would ruin the entire world. China, America, Australia. It's the only continent that's actually self-sufficient. They don't need anybody else to function in Africa. Everybody else, it depends on some type of trade. And like you said, that's why they want to keep Africa unindustrialized, basically.
So as you can see, Aaron, I'm basically connecting the money with the corruption too. Now, Afghanistan, as we all know, America went in there, did their thing. But if anybody knows anything about the drug trade, Afghanistan is the number 1 right now. It has changed from Southeast Asia to Afghanistan. That's where all the opium is growing. Now, people say, well, I don't see a lot of people with needles anymore. Well, guess what? We have a huge opium epidemic right now with the oxycodons and the Percocets and all this other stuff that these kids are taking from these manufacturing pharmaceutical companies. They are pushing opiate drugs.
Yeah, they legalize heroin.
See what I'm saying? So
they legalize heroin to call it something else.
So to me, this connects to the corruption of the police, because you're dealing with a lot of money. They're making more money than they would with their jobs, you know, to get these payouts. Then we got Iraq, again, another country America destroyed. You didn't have all that police corruption under Saddam Hussein. I don't care what nobody say. There was not. Saddam had things in check over there. Okay, so now it's chaos, and so Kenya again on the top 10 list of worst economies in the world, and also coincidentally on the same list of worst police forces in the world. Do you see a connection here? Okay, now Mexico. Oh my God, we all know drugs come through Mexico. That's the connection from the Colombians now. It's been for years through America. They used to do Miami, but they shut that down in the whole Miami Vice era. And what's the lady named? The Black Widow, and that whole era, La Madrina, they shut all that down. So now they've been coming through Mexico. So that's That's why you have corruption with the police. Haiti, as I said before, is being punished. And what a lot of people don't know is the Clintons and several other foundations own gold in Haiti right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of gold in Haiti. Nobody's talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to keep that country in chaos.
Yep.
Because now you can maneuver as long as they're in chaos. See?
Mm-hmm.
You can maneuver and do what you got to do because they fighting over little stuff. It's a political, it's a lot of political corruption there as well as police corruption. There's a lot of political corruption. And if you notice, for the first time in a long time, they just assassinated a president.
Mm-hmm.
A president got assassinated. Now, what's interesting about that assassination is his wife said when they came in, they were like, did you find it? Did you find it? Did you find it? So they were looking for something. I don't know what they was looking for, but they was looking for something. And then one guy came out and said, I got it. And then they took a picture of the president and they sent it to somebody and said, is this the guy? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the wife said. And when they said, yes, that's him, then they killed him in front of the wife. I think they shot the wife too, but she didn't die. So this is interesting. All this stuff, you follow the money, man. You find out some whole different stuff. I don't know what their president was into. I don't know what he stole from who. But if you know anything about Haiti, mainly
I know them vaccines arrived like the next week.
Run Haiti. The gangs run Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
And the police work for the gangs. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's number two. Number one, wow. Number one on the corruption is Nigeria. Again, on the top 10 list of worst economies in the world. I rest my case.
Those are facts, man. Those are facts. Those are straight facts. There's always economics at the root of all these issues and all these problems, man. And I would say Western tampering within these economies.
Yes.
It's always like somebody behind. A lot of the wars are started in Africa and the Middle East because of the West, because of the tampering and the manipulation of the West. Now, I got this other list right here. Now, let me explain this particular stat sheet real quick. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it on up. There we go. Let me see if we put this on the side right here. Now, this is the Police Corruption Perceptions Index, all right? So what that means, guys, is they take a survey from the actual citizens of these countries, right? They get like a couple thousand people, and they vote on how corrupt they feel the police are in these countries. Now, I feel like this is somewhat of a realistic list, and it's more impactful because a lot of us do go to these countries, all right? Boy, besides Venezuela, but some of us do go to these countries right here. So I'm gonna start off. We'll go of the top few that we mostly go to, right? So coming in at number one, I'm not sure if a lot of guys go to Honduras, but Honduras is number one. All right, Honduras is number one. And then we got Venezuela coming in at number three. We got Uganda coming in at number four. And on this list, Mexico actually comes in on number 7. And the error percentage is only 1% on that because they had 5,897 people actually take the survey. Now, interesting enough, and this is going to lead to what you're going to tell us about what happened to you. Guess what? You see what's number 9?
Yeah, I see number 9, Dominican Republic.
Number 9 is Dominic Republic with a 3.71% error rate. They had about 700 people take a survey, all right? And Dominic Republic came in at number 9. Now, coming in.
I'm going to stop for 1 second. These are just opinions. It's good that we talk about this because these are professional opinions, but typically.
Well, I like this because this is coming from the people. So this is why I like this.
Oh, yeah, I know. But I'm just saying typically a survey is supposed to have at least 1,500. But it's okay. Go ahead.
Right. Well, you got Mexico with 6,000. You know what I'm saying? So I would say this, though. Anything under like 1,000, you can't take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly. I would
say
that's all I'm saying. 700, 300. It's just an opinion. Right. But when you go over 1,500, 2,000 people, that's a more solid. Because I'm a real estate appraiser too, so I did a lot of feasibility studies. But go ahead.
Now coming in, I know a lot of cats go to Jamaica, South Africa, and Brazil, and these all kind of ranking near each other. We got Jamaica coming in at number 14. We got South Africa coming in at number 15. And we got Brazil coming in at number 16. Now, I will say this about Brazil from what I've seen so far by being down here for 3 months. They do have like a lot of roadblocks. But the difference like about Brazil is when they look in your car and they see a black person, it's like, go ahead, go on. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different in Medellin, Colombia. I got to admit. When they see you, a black person in Medellin, up to the side,
Are
search
you serious?
all day, every day.
The
All
police?
day, every day. I don't know. I'm trying to find Colombia on this list. I'm like, I don't know how Colombia came in at number 25. I don't know how, but Colombia, and they had 4,225 people take the survey with a 1.5% error rate. So Colombia came in at number 25.
Well, Colombia got 4,000. That's a good survey.
Bro, I hear stories all the time. You know, we got the group. Everybody calls me, hey man, the police pulled me over, the police shook me down. You know, but I will say this: out of all the situations I was in Colombia, I never got shook down for money. They simply searched me for drugs. They didn't find me drugs. They let me go on. So I will say that about Colombia. Now you got Thailand is right above Colombia, coming in at number 24. All right. Then we got Ghana at number 29. But Ghana had a small survey, only 300 people. Like you said, that's more of an opinion. Then we got El Salvador at number 32. That's a little fishy. Then we got the Philippines coming in close to 1,000 surveyors. That's number 35. I'm gonna see what where America is, and then we can go ahead and get into the story time with you. So United States came in at number 78, and this list is out of 100. So United States came in at number 78, and 6,518 people took a survey.
That's a good survey.
That's a good survey. That's a good survey. But it also depends on what area of the United States.
Exactly. If they asked all white people gonna have a whole different experience than black people.
Right. You know, we got a show in Georgia that's based out of Georgia called Squid Village. It's a little cartoon. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's a little funny cartoon show, but it's a little truth in it because like the characters always get in trouble. But they know the judge. The judge has been known them since they were kids. That's a big difference. When you walk in that courtroom and that's just old Jed, son acting on up, slap on the wrist. You know, now if I walk in there, me and you walk in there 30, 40 years, 20 years, you know, so we know that's all depending on exactly where they took these surveys at in the United States. Now, let's get to the story time, brother. I know you went through a situation out in the DR. You went live in a group, or you posted a video in a group. So tell us, you know, from the beginning exactly what happened. Give us the surrounding, the settings, all that good stuff, brother.
Okay. I was taking this young lady home, you know, and it was late night, and I buy like sheets from her. She gives me these sheet sets where it's got the rug, the curtains. I mean, it's really nice sheet sets, pillows that she makes. And so I like them because they got different designs. You know, nobody will have my sheet set. So it was late night. I was taking her home. I said, okay, I'm going to take you home because, you know, they got this public transportation out here. They got a bunch of cars, the raggedy cars. They got the shuttles, the buses, and all that stuff. And she said she lived 15 minutes away. I said, okay, cool. It wasn't no 15 minutes. It was like 45 minutes or 30, 45 minutes. It was in a bad area, man. And when I got to that area, I immediately noticed this is a dangerous area. You know what I'm saying? So when I was entering in that area, they had some kind of sting operation going, and they had a military truck, and they had a gang of guys in there, and they was just rounding up a bunch of people. They pulled me over. You know, they just jumped in front of my car, pulled me over, checked my passport and all that. And she said what she said in Spanish. We left. Mm-hmm. Go to her house. Neighborhood, terrible, very dangerous neighborhood. I could just see the elements, and so she wanted to, you know, you can come in for a minute.
Them hood senses start going off,
huh?
Yeah, them hood senses start going off on you. Them hairs start picking up.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew I was in a bad neighborhood. You could just see it. You could see the whole elements, and so everybody in the neighborhood was looking, and so she basically left the curtains open because she didn't want anybody to think nothing was going on with me and her, you know, and it wasn't. We just cool. And so we had a few beers. I used the restroom. I stayed too late. I left for probably around 12. And it was a dirt alley I had to go through to get to the main street. So I'm going through this dirt alley. It had to be at least a half a mile or something like that. It was a long alley. It was all dirt. You know how these roads are out here, dirt. You know, so and so when I come out the alley, it's like they was waiting for me. It's like they was waiting for me to come out that alley. Somebody told them, or somebody called them and said, "Hey, this guy's here. Look like he got some money." They do that out here. They work with the police. Some people, and the police will pay them for certain come-ups.
You think it was the woman?
It might have been. It might have been her, because when I got home, I actually called her and said, "Hey, you set me up." "Oh no, I would have never do. What do you mean?" She played the role, but I cut her off. I stopped dealing with her. Period. After that, because that's just how my spidey senses are. I did accuse her of setting me up, because I don't know if one of them dudes was her brother or her man. I don't know. So you have to think like that, because they will set you up and break bread with each other, because this is a third world country. She claimed up and down she didn't have nothing to do with it, but like I said, just my mindset was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut her off, period, and not deal with her anymore. If she did or not, I can't take that risk, because I come from that whole background, that world where everybody's suspect to me, So they pulled me over. They actually blocked my car. It was 2 motorcycles and 4 officers. So when they pulled me over, they talked about they couldn't find that in the car. So they seen how I'm dressed. I dress decent. They seen how I'm dressed, and I'm American. So they talked about me being here for a while. I had been here for a while, and they was like, "Oh, you've been here for a long time." So that's not a case. That's not an issue, because all I have to do is pay an extra tax. They have no visa here. There's no visas here. So you can. There's got an overstay tax. That's it, and you pay maybe $50, $60 every 3-4 months that you stay over. So that wasn't an issue, and they made it a big issue. Mucho tiempo. And I told one of the officers, I told him, I can pay the taxes. That's nothing. And he knew what I was saying. He said he's right. So then they said, so they did put a police in the car with me. This went on for about 20 minutes, and they questioned him. He asked me all these questions. I don't speak Spanish. I can catch some of the stuff they saying, and I'm trying to speak to them best I can. And so I didn't know what they could do. I have some bad experiences here in Los Angeles with police officers. So you don't know what they can do, man. You in their country. And it's dark, it's late. I've heard so many stories of them taking people to the bank and making them use their debit cards. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about this stuff. So I realized it's a shakedown going on. So they put an officer in the car with me, and they drive me down this dark road, no lights. In Dominican, there's a lot of roads where there's no lights. There's farms and stuff, and the officers, they were lagging behind, but now they lag behind so far we can't see them. So they probably parked around the corner somewhere. And so this guy say, "Tiki, Tiki," and he's got my passport in his hand. And I'm like, "Okay, how much?" He said, "100." So I pulled 100 pesos out of my pocket. He said, no, $100.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, that's $100. But you played it smooth though. You played it real smooth.
I tried to play it smooth. So I'm in this dark area. I know these other cops is right around the corner, and they let him do his little thing, right? So I said, you know what? All right, I don't have no $100. So I think I gave him like 4,000 pesos or something like that, which is about $80. He was so happy when he got that. He jumped out the car and and he called them, "Hey, where you at?" And then all of a sudden I see they lights appear. So they wasn't too far behind, or they was around the corner or something. And so I thanked him. I was like, "Gracias." I've never been robbed and thanked the robber. How about that?
only overseas, bro.
I said gracias, right? He said, "Okay, no problem, gracias," and he said gracias, and I drove off. But again, I didn't know how to respond to that situation. Like, I wouldn't have did what Brendan them did. "Oh, I ain't got no money, and you're not getting shit."
What do you think would have happened if you didn't pay them?
I don't know. I don't know, but my instincts told me give him some money and just pay the wolf and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Because I can replace money, man. These people can plant dope on you. They can do all kind of crazy shit. So, it's my word against 4 officers. So I got the money. I wish I could have paid my way out of my federal case that I caught in Los Angeles years ago in 1990. But, American police, they on some John Wayne shit. They want to get the badge of honor and they want to get the medal. Whereas these police officers, they trying to make some money. So understanding that, I'm like, you know what? Let me play the game, give them their money, and see what they do. And they were so happy. They got the hell away from me so fast because remember, they only make $400 a month. A month. So that $80, they probably all, got $20 a piece or 1,000 pesos. They happy because the average Dominican, they only getting 500 pesos, period. And they got to split that 3-4 ways. So now they got 1,000 pesos to split between each other. Like I said, man, my instincts told me pay them and keep it moving. That's what my instincts told me. I follow my instincts a lot. A lot of people say, well, you shouldn't have done that. You should have told them no, this and that. I follow my instincts. I've never been wrong with my instincts.
Most definitely, man. I believe you definitely did the right thing. Like you said, we're not in our country. We don't really know. Even if you did report them, it's probably gonna go up under the rug in most cases. So you did the right thing, man, in my opinion. And that's a good story to tell for most guys who travel in the world who are not familiar with that. I remember we had got pulled over in Colombia, right?
Right.
And we were both, me and my partner, we were both frustrated because it was like had to be the 10th time in 2 weeks that we get pulled over. Because like I say, in Colombia, they look in the car, pull over. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a roadblock. Wow. So my homeboy, he cut out, and my homeboy got a little edgy with him. I'm like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro. And then I remember the Colombian cop just kind of looked at him. He was just like, hey, he at first he didn't speak no English, and all of a sudden, you have a problem with me, man? And I was like, nah, he ain't got a problem, officer. You know what I'm saying? And then the officer went through his stuff and found some blunts. Not with no weed in them, but found some blunts. And he kept doing like this. And I was just like, man, you can't do nothing with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you can't do nothing with that. It's just some blunts. So he kind of sized me up a little bit. Then he gave his blunts back to my homeboy, and we just left. But I had to tell my homeboy, I said, man, I know it's frustrating, bro, but you kind of just got to take it. Now, on another occasion, I was searched, and then the Colombian cop got too close with the searching, and I kind of shot my elbow at him. I'm like, bro,
what you mean? What you mean got too close?
Got too close with the searching. He was in the personal parts a little too deep.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm just like, bro, ain't nothing down there, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said something. I forgot what I said in Spanish. It was like tranquilo, or like, but unintentionally I shot him in the elbow. And he was just like, sorry, you know what I'm saying? My bad. He wasn't really tripping like that. He was a little shorter police officer. And I'm like, it would have been a female cop, that'd been a different story. But brother, you know what I'm saying? We men here, bro. This is a routine thing y'all do, because what they was doing was, if you hop in a taxi or Uber, of course, they're working with the taxis and the Ubers, and what they'll do is they'll pretty much set it up to where they'll go that way. Even if the Uber tells them to go this way, they're gonna go that exact way where they know the roadblock is at, because they all in on it, because they figure, hey, you leaving Parquilleres, you might have some coke on you, you might have some Tusi on you, you might have some marijuana on you, and if you do, this is the line they say half the time. You know what I'm saying? They'll say, right, hey, man, we got 300 ways to fix this. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely got to be careful, man. Shout out to Xavier with the $5 super chat. He says, greetings. And I guess that's B1 family. Great topic. Yeah, this is a great topic, man, because brothers really need to know how to move overseas, man. And you can't, I ain't gonna say you got to buy down, man, but like you said before, this their country, bro.
It's their country, man. And the bottom line is like this, man. As Americans, you got a big ass bullseye on your back. Don't forget that. You from one of the richest countries on the planet, and you possess one of the strongest currencies. Back to money. You possess one of the strongest currencies in the world, with the exception of the Kuwaiti dollar, which we know they got all the oil. But American dollar is the strongest dollar in the world. So your ass is a big ass bullseye. Just know that. And if you know that, you move a little differently. You be a little more careful. And all I can say to the brothers is use the greatest of intelligence of all times in any situation. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't try to be all, I know my rights. You have no rights. You have no rights in some of these countries. You really don't.
Now let me ask you this. Was this your first incident with the police over there? Because you've been over there for a minute.
Yes, 2 years. My first incident.
Man, you are lucky, man, because
But that's the other thing I want to tell the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your areas. You know the areas where there's money at. Where there's money at, that shit don't happen like that. Every country got money areas. Believe me. Every country got it. I don't care how poor it is. Every country got areas where people got money. And these people are influential. Okay? So they don't really fuck with them people like that. So,
hey, brother, you know,
go ahead.
Try
go ahead.
to down on a person a little bit, brother, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you good.
We live.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
so they
right.
don't really mess with those people. Excuse me, channel. I'm sorry. But yeah, they don't really mess with those people like that. And I'm trying to give it to y'all raw. But if you stay in certain areas, touristy areas, I kind of stayed away from touristy areas when I first got here because I wanted to explore and really experience the real culture. I didn't want the watered down culture. And I do the same thing when I went to Paris. I never take these tours. I just kind of like do my own thing. I do my own research and I kind of, you know, I do my own experience and it's just fun that way for me. I'm very adventurous. But when I came here, I decided to stay here for a little while and I wanted to really immerse the culture. So I've been interacting in residential areas. But like I said, my area where I live is a kind of middle class area. And that it really doesn't happen like over here. But when you go to other areas, beware. And like I said, you can notice the change in the economic demographics in your area. If you're from the hood, if you're a brother from the hood, that's the beauty about being a black man that travels. Being a black man that travels, we all pretty much come from the hood. Not many of us come from a golden spoon in our mouth. So we come from the hood. We understand that element. And so when I'm even in my neighborhood, they got some gangs. They cool with me because I understand the language. I know how to, you know what I mean, communicate with these guys. Pimps, I run into pimps out here. I'm cool with them. I'm cool with the gang members. The anybody from any walk of life out here, I can kind of relate to because of my experience as a black man in America.
No, that's facts. Now, have you ever took that long ride to Santiago?
Actually went with your boy, Elliot. Me and Elliot drove out there. We stayed for a weekend and we had a ball. I think Pete went with us. We had a ball out there for a weekend. We drove out there and had some fun. Yes, I've been to Santiago. I've been to Villa Altagracia. I've been to San Pedro a couple of times. I took my family to Punta Cana for a week. I loved it. I never did the experience of a resort. But this particular time, we did the resort. My baby mother wanted to do a resort. It was the best choice that she made. I was going to do an Airbnb. We argued over it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you the budget and you do what you want to do. And so she got she actually saved. The Airbnb was like $1,300. I still would have had to buy food and drinks. She did $700 and something for me, my daughter, and her for a whole week in a resort. All drinks, all food included. They had like 5-6 restaurants, top-notch restaurants. We on the beach, drinks galore. You could drink whatever you. That was a great experience for me because I didn't have to worry about security. I didn't have to worry about police. I didn't have to worry about nothing, you know. And you in there with mainly a lot of English-speaking people, of course. This in the resort. So it was great. I like that. I'm going to do that resort thing again sometime.
See, I asked that because on the way, I guess we was going from Santiago over toward the North Coast. I know we got pulled over by the police twice and shook down. So you haven't had any issues with getting pulled over there?
Where?
In Dominic Republic, driving.
No, they haven't pulled me over. I've never got pulled over, and I just turned in a car. I had a car for a whole month I was renting, and I didn't get pulled over, but that one time, you know, and like I said,
man,
I feel like I was
lucky,
out
bro.
Huh?
Yeah, you've been lucky, bro, because I know I used to go DR all the time, and for the most part, well, no, I haven't had any issues with the police, but that one time I was going from Santiago back to the Puerto Plata.
Yeah, when I drive to San Pedro from Santo Domingo, like over the last 2 weeks, I've been driving there almost every day because I'm going through the paperwork of getting my daughter her American citizenship. Because again, like I said, no matter where you have a child at as an American, that child is an American. And I'm finding out now as an American here in this country, we have a tremendous amount of power because I can sign a waiver for someone to go to America. If I say I'm going to pay them and I'm going to make sure they get paid, you know, they're going to have income. You have a lot of power. as an American. And in fact, the police here are not even really supposed to be messing with you like that because we bring so much revenue here, you know, and the number one GDP, the number one income source here in this country is travel. So when the government officials find out they did that to you, it might be an issue for them police officers, you know. But again, I wanted to say this: all this corruption we're talking about can be resolved with one simple thing: putting cameras on all the police around the world. And the United Nations could push that to all the governments around the world. If you got eyes on everybody, it makes it kind of hard to do stupid stuff. You know, so that's why I like cryptocurrency. That's why I like that particular form of currency, because it's decentralized. Nobody can see me, but everybody can see the money. Nobody knows where the money's going, but nobody can cheat or mistreat the transactions because everybody can see the transactions. So when you have all the eyes on it, again, you don't know where it's going, but nobody can steal anything because it's total transparency. So if we add transparency to the police stations, that can resolve all of this. Just putting cameras. It can resolve the whole issue around the world.
That's a very good point, man. Shout out to Citizen Lou with the Mexican peso, 100 Mexican peso. I really appreciate that, my brother. Always supporting. He says, honest question, and I guess you can answer this, bro. What's the difference in getting shook down in the street and getting shook down in the courtroom? Missing work and being held in contempt could lead you to jail time and more money.
That's a long question. Let me see. What's the difference in getting shook down in the street and getting shook down in the courtroom? There's a big difference. To get shook down in the streets, I can pay to get out that situation. A lot of times in the courtroom, you can't pay. A lot of times in the courtrooms, depends on what courtroom you're in and what their agenda is. Because I know in America, they get paid for inmates. They get paid a certain amount of money every year for inmates. And I know dang on well, they're not, it's not costing them that much to house these inmates. Okay. Cause you got what? One inmate per, you got like 100 inmates per one officer or something. So, if an officer's getting $50,000 a year or $40,000 a year, and they getting $40,000 a year per each inmate, you do the math. You do the math. And the inmates making the clothes. They got farms where they grow the food and they don't give you the best food. So again, it's economics. It boils down to money. They actually trade inmates on Wall Street now. Okay. They got prison industries that's being traded on Wall Street. They got private companies now investing in prison. So it's two different things. Shook down on the street, you can get out of that. You can pay them and you can move. Okay. Now, missing work and being held in contempt could lead to jail time. Okay, yeah. So that's my difference. It's a lot of factors when you go into court. It depends on what country you're in, what your charges are. And it's just a lot of factors. You're dealing with two different situations.
Good point. Shout out to Doug No Music with the $5 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. He says, still surprises me to this day. Even though the British pound is more valuable, people still want that greenback. USD has the world hooked. You know, when I found out about the British pound when I was in Brazil for the first time, man, and I was in the club and some British cats, some brothers, I never forget it because they danced real funny over there. Like they was dancing in the club. I'm like, man, what kind of dance is that, bro? But he was like, yo, look at the British pound exchange rate. And he pulled up the British pound to the Brazilian real and then the USD. I was surprised that the British pound had, you know what I'm saying, was stronger than the US dollar for the first, because I thought the US dollar was always the number one. But that was my first time learning that. Now, let me ask you a question, man. As far as police, right? Are you more comfortable moving around, dealing with the police in America or more so in the Dominican Republic?
That's a good question. I would say Dominican. And the reason is because I heard Akon say something, and I'm not going to take credit for anything that I hear. I always give the credit to the person I get it from. And Akon said, America has done a tremendous job in marketing. They marketed so great. Everybody think America is so wonderful, so great, but you don't hear about all the killings in Chicago, which is probably more killings there than it was in the Iraqi war. They hide all this stuff. Even the police corruption, we way down the list. They asked 6,000 people, but I guarantee you, but the majority of them was white people who have a different experience than we do. So they find ways to manipulate their positions all the time, and they market. It's the greatest marketing machine in the world. Now, when I drive into LA, I'm in my 550 or whatever, and every time the police pass me, my butthole tighten up, you know. And I was just reading, and it's different. Like, they talk about corruption as though it's only connected with money. That's why I did my research based on money, because most of the countries they did were based on money. America, police corruption is mainly based on racism. Total different thing. Okay, and we've been dealing with this for years. And so it was a letter in the Message to the Black Man. There's a letter where Elijah Muhammad was talking to the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. And in that letter, the Ku Klux Klan, the Grand Wizard said, you know what? Because of all this federal investigation on the Ku Klux Klan, we no longer wear white robes. We wear blue uniforms and black robes. That's some deep stuff, bro.
Facts.
That's deep. So we're dealing with a whole different thing. I'm looking at a list here of deaths in America. There's over 250 black women in the last 2 years, or actually since 2000 to now, 250 black women shot down, unarmed. See, they don't talk about that as corruption because most of the police officers get off. See, so it's not really accounted.
Facts.
And I went through a list of black men, dude, just now before we got on this channel. It's so long. I can't even read it on here. It's not enough time. Unarmed black men killed since 2000 to now by police. Most likely the motive, racism. And the number of blacks is way surpassed Mexicans, way surpassed whites. I mean, I've even seen white dudes with guns and the police come around and say, drop your weapon, drop your weapon. And they sit there until the guy drops his weapon. Now, you know, like I know, they see any black man with anything that remotely looks like a weapon.
Cell phone, whatever it is. Cell phone, comb, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Bro.
But again, the majority of these cases are dismissed. So it's not counted to the statistics of corruption. But believe me, racism, to me, in my mindset, I was a student of psychology in college, and my mindset, racism should be added to a mental disorder. I'm sorry. It should be added to a mental disorder, because when you can kill somebody just because they got a different skin color and think that that's okay, something wrong with you, man. That's a human being.
Yeah,
you have
man.
a mental disorder.
And I asked you that question because you coming from LA, they've done movies. Like, that's probably the only place they do movies about the police corruption over there. They got songs about LAPD.
Yeah, you know, I like the rapper Rick Ross. I think he's a great rapper, but everybody don't realize he was a police officer. Straight up, he was a police officer. So a lot of the stuff he rapped about,
I know your boy don't like. I know your boy don't like him.
His name even is taken from my boy Rick Ross, the real.
Yeah,
Rick
exactly.
Ross.
Yeah,
you know,
like I saw y'all
interview.
interview.
No black man. I give Rick Ross, the rapper, his props, but at the same time, man, it's very distasteful that you don't break the man off a couple million. Man, you can get a man a couple million because you have to pay homage to where you're getting your lyrics from. You see, you talking about all this.
Where you get your image? Where you get your image from?
Exactly. I'm gonna say this. In the 80s, I hustled with Rick. I hustled with Young Tommy and a lot of other guys. I ain't gonna put no names out there, but everybody know EB from Compton. But I'm gonna say this. He had a lyric where he talked about Rick Ross snitched. And I'm saying to myself, this dude is disrespectful, man, because first of all, there's over 50 guys in LA in 1990, 91 that testified against the wicked police system of Los Angeles, because we have friends, man. I'm almost crying. We have friends that were killed, you understand me, by police officers that put on black, they put on masks, and they would rob dope dealers. And they would coordinate this with the police station, okay? And they would go in, they would take our money and shoot. They killed brothers, man. They took dope, they took kilos, they took money, and they would go in and kill brothers. So when these 50 people, when Freeway was in jail with me in 1990, he got out after 5 years. Then he got caught up with my homeboy Chico from Compton, who's a good friend of mine right now. And Chico is in the movie industry. He just finished a movie. He called me about 2 weeks ago. And Chico, I guess, got set up with Rick, and that's when they did all that time. Okay, I was still in jail. But when Rick in 1990 got caught, He only did 5 years because he testified on the police. Well, there was 50, 60 other brothers that did that because, again, these police officers highly abused their positions, okay? And they were setting brothers up. They was killing brothers, taking their money. I mean, it was really going down, man, in a really sinister way. And at that time, I would say LA police was the most corrupt in the world because all the dope was flowing through LA. It was a lot of brothers that had Colombian connects. I know 3 or 4 of them that had straight Colombian connects. And like I said, so it was so much money in the streets. It was almost a millionaire in every hood in LA. And even some of the other states that I was going to. I was in Detroit. I was in Iowa, Minnesota. I was in Oklahoma. I was in Seattle. I was in Arkansas. I was in quite a few states. I'm probably responsible for a lot of Crips and Bloods moving all over the country. Not just me, but other brothers like me who was traveling. I did a lot of traveling. But again, the LA Police Department was one of the most corrupt. And I think that the United States is still up there on the list if we incorporate racism.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Now, this question is maybe a little off topic, and I'm gonna go ahead and sum up the show. But you know, in your dealings out there in LA, was you familiar with anything with like Suge Knight with the police or heard anything about that?
That's a good question. That's a great question, and it's interesting that I played football with Suge Knight. I knew Suge Knight very well. And again, I'm getting chills because he killed my homeboy, Terry Carter. Terry Carter was a good friend of mine. Me and Terry Carter did a lot of real estate together. I appraised Terry Carter's building in Inglewood. Terry Carter had a company called Heavyweight Production. He owned some of the West Side Connection records, some of Cube records. And him and Mike Conception were business partners. People don't realize one of Head Bloods, Pyru, Terry Carter, who grew up on Pyru Street, and one of the OG Crips, you know, Mike Conception. They were doing business together. They did a lot of business together in the music industry. But anyway, I knew Suge very well. We played football together. I went to prison because I was one of them D-boys out there getting my money. He was a college boy. He went to college. He went to UNLV. I didn't go to college. You know, I went to college in prison. You know, and I almost had a master's degree until Clinton dismantled the Pell Grants because he said we're making criminals smarter. But at the same time, 50-something% or 70% of inmates are illiterate. So in my mindset, if you allow brothers to get education, maybe they won't choose crime. But Clinton dismantled it because a lot of people on the streets was hating that brothers was coming out with master's degrees and BAs. So I took psychology in there, but I knew Suge, again, he wasn't no gangster, you know, but when you give a brother from Compton $300 million and put a bunch of real gangsters around him, you know, now he's got to live to this certain image. I also went to school with Dr. Dre. Me and Dre went to Roosevelt together. Dre asked me for $25,000 back in the day. I'm talking about when I was really slanging and Dre was just DJing. And he was, you know, Andre Young. There's pictures of me and him together in the Roosevelt yearbook. Dre lived a block from me. He would come to my house. We would go to Wesley Brim house. Wesley Brim introduced me and Dre to Parliament. And if you guys listen to the Chronic, it's all remixed from Parliament and Funkadelic. But my boy, Wesley Brim, Weston Priest, from Southside Compton, you know, he died. It's a long story, but I was involved in a sense in that because I gave him the bullets that night he got killed. But I grew up with Dre. I knew Easy. Easy went to Compton with me. Again in the yearbook. All the stuff I say, man, could be verified. Yella went to Compton. Easy went to Compton. I didn't really know Ren. Ren is from Kelly Park, but a lot of my homies from Kelly Park, Crip, from Compton, you know, and so we all knew each other. I used to go to all the parties. You guys see the movies? I went to the parties. All them parties they gave, I went to them parties. In 1990, I went to prison. I was looking at 20 years. I beat a case in Seattle, and I ended up being put on Young Tommy case, and I pleaded guilty to 10 years. I had did so much dirt, I was like, I'll take the 10. You know, I didn't want to fight it because they had pictures, they had videos, they had audio, but I was at MDC. When Suge came there, well, David Kenner came. I don't know if Suge came. I was there. I didn't see the meeting, but I was actually at MDC in 91 when that went down, and they got the millions from Harrio. I know Michael Harris. I spent time with him at MDC. I used to go to his restaurant he had in Beverly Hills. He got his mom. I used to use his limousine service. We're good friends. I haven't seen him in years. He just got pardoned by Donald Trump, which is another subject. Everybody say Donald Trump is a racist, but he pardoned 5 black men, and he pardoned a dope dealer from LA. What president you know done that? This racist. So y'all got to reevaluate what the media tell you guys. They know how to punch black people ticket. All they got to do is punch the race card, and y'all jump on board and call him a racist. You don't think Joe Biden's a racist? He grew up. He's a good old boy, been in Congress over 40 years. You know what I'm saying? He grew up in the South, so or Connecticut or somewhere. So again, a lot of these people, man, you know, I knew all these people from Compton. I went to all the parties until I went to jail. I was invited because they wanted all the D-boys to come to their parties because we brought all the women. All the women followed us. You know, that's how it went down. You know, so yeah, I knew Dre. I haven't seen Dre in a while. When I came home after 10 years, my good friend Ramon from Kelly Park was trying to get me to bring his artists to Dre because they know Dre will mess with me. But I didn't want to be in the music industry because I saw what Suge did. I saw how the music industry beat TLC, beat Tony Braxton, and I knew I'm not taking no losses like that. It will bring me back to EB from Compton. So I didn't want to be in that element. I changed my whole perspective. I became a barber. I cut hair for 7 years. I had my own barbershop for 9 years. And then I became a real estate commercial and residential appraiser. I didn't go back to Compton. I went to Los Angeles, ended up getting a house in what they call Black Beverly Hills, Baldwin Hills. And that's what I did. I changed my whole mindset. I didn't want to be in the record industry. And the artist that Moan wanted me to bring to Dre, he actually got into Dre. And if you guys watch the Car Wash soundtrack, the artist is named Dax, D-A-X. He got a track on there. Okay, he got a track on there, but that was the artist. They were trying to get me to get to Dre, but I just didn't want to be in the music industry because I'm not taking no $2 million, $3 million loss. I will go insane. I know me. So I've just stayed out of that. I stayed out of that whole element. Does that make sense?
Yeah, most definitely, man. And we're going to sum up the show, but we definitely got to do another one, man, because I want to go a little bit into that next time.
I got a lot of stuff I don't tell you.
Right.
I got a lot of stuff I don't tell you. People tell me all the time, man, you need to write a book. I got some stories, man. You know, but a lot of times people don't believe it. I've been on dates with girls, and, you know, I don't tell them I knew Dre and all that, but when they find out, okay, he's EB from Compton, you know, he claimed he know all these different people that might be from their hood or might be their OG or whatever, and they be like, okay, they don't believe me. But then when they ask their OGs, they be like, oh, yeah, we know him. But then at that point, I'm not interested in you no more because you're so used to dealing with the fake dudes. When you meet a real guy, you don't even know how to respond. And so I don't like people trying to check my credentials like that because, you know, it's just disrespectful, man. It really is. Because real people don't tell you who they are. They kind of sit in the cut, you know. They kind of sit in the cut. I was just on the phone with Dre's son about 2 months ago. Cedric. We was on the phone, me and his wife, about some crypto stuff. And it was funny because the guy who's a network marketer is a white guy out of Brazil. He's from Seattle. He's in Brazil now. He put me on the phone. He was talking about it. I said, man, you don't know I know Dre. And so when I started talking to his son and started connecting the dots, his son was like, yeah, you know my dad. Because there's certain things you don't know. There's certain things you wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, I thank you, man, for having me on the show. Again, I really appreciate you. I love this channel, and I hope that black men got something valuable from this as they're traveling. Again, use the greatest of intelligence. And, you know, as an American, we're used to having our rights. And I notice being in this country, I'm used to fighting for things. Like, they don't fight here. People here, they just lay down, and whatever somebody tell them, they just lay down. One example, I was at a restaurant with this girl recently, and I blocked her off my phone now. We went to a restaurant, and they bought me the bill. And they said, this is your bill, but you got to pay more than that because we forgot to charge you the other juice that you bought. I said, okay, I don't have no problem with that. Put that juice on the receipt, and I'll pay it. And the girl told me when we came home, I shouldn't have talked to her like that. I should have handled that differently. I said, you know what? The difference between me and you is you're an everyday working person. You got a slave mentality. I'm a boss. I'm a CEO. I run companies, and I have to have this for my taxes. And so if I'm gonna pay something, I don't have a problem paying it. Put it on the bill. Does that sound right to you? Is somebody bringing you a bill and say, oh, but you got to pay more than what's on that bill? That don't sound right to me. So I'm wrong for making things correct. But this is the mindset of these people here. A lot of these people here, they don't fight for nothing. We grew up in America. That country was started by revolution. And then our people fought for our rights. So we got that in our blood to always fight for what's right. It's not the case in certain countries. They just, okay, oh, this person said that they work here, they must be right. Oh, this person said that works for the government, they must be right. And that's kind of how their mindset is in a lot of these third world countries. You've noticed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the brothers that go to these countries can't have that fight like that. They gotta you gotta kind of blend in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your boy was giving the police, oh, you know.
Yeah, they out there in Colombia when they was doing all that protesting.
Yeah.
What was that like last year? They had arrested like a white woman from America, and they deported her ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Just because she was involved in the protests. So yeah, man, you definitely got to be careful. Well, bro, once again, man, appreciate you coming on the show. That was an excellent show, man. You dropped a lot of game, a lot of good information. I'm definitely going to bring you on here again so we can talk about, more of your history and stuff like that, man. So do you want to shout out your company or anything like that before we go?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the Family Cash Machine, Mr. David Lyons, my programmer. I couldn't do nothing without him. This guy is brilliant. Out of Detroit, Tammy, my head networker. I call her Blockchain Queen. And I just want to give a shout out to, Ahmad, all my friends, my family that have been supporting me because I couldn't have done the Family Cash Machine without them. We're getting ready to launch our own coin from Dubai. It's going to be a cryptocurrency where it's basically going to be a hedge fund on the blockchain. And if you guys know anything about hedge funds, you cannot invest in a hedge fund unless you got what they call investor status. Well, guess what? We're going to make hedge funds available for the little guy. So with that, again, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you, man. And, whenever you need me, I'm here for you.
Okay, man. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Okay, brother.